This is my third year of being a physiotherapist, and here are the 3 life lessons I've learned. Lesson number 1 is that people always know what's good for them, but they actually struggle to do them consistently. So what I mean is that patients generally know that they need to be exercising more and prioritize their health, but a lot of people aren't able to put that into action and be consistent. And that's because a lot of people really only act on their emotions. Now, our emotions and feelings are what gives life joy and meaning and happiness, but when we only act on our emotions, our actions or inactions can be a source of pain or unhappiness. A lot of people struggle to be rational. They find it difficult to do the things that gives them happiness and satisfaction in the long term because it requires discomfort in the short term. So what I've learned is that a lot of people will actually prefer to live in mediocrity, or in my case, pain and injuries, instead of having to endure the discomfort of change and growth. So the lesson then is for me to not fall in that pit, to make sure that I continually to do things that I know are good for me. Things that help me get better, especially things that are uncomfortable at the start, because that's where growth happens. And for me, growth is important for feeling stimulated and fulfilled. Lesson number 2 is that if you're more unhappy in your life, you're less likely to adopt healthy behaviors. And what I mean by healthy behaviors are the basic things that every human being needs, which is getting enough exercise, getting enough sleep, making sure you're looking after your mental health, connecting with people, practicing self-awareness and mindfulness. If you're generally happier, you're more likely to perform these healthy behaviors, which in turn increases your happiness because having good physical health improves your mental health. For folks who are less happy, they're more likely to do things that are harming their health, which perpetuates a negative cycle. Because what I observe in the clinic is that in patients who aren't getting better, especially if it's related to their inability to change certain behaviors that's perpetuating the condition. For example, they're not getting better because they just struggle to do their rehab exercises consistently. If I dig a little bit deeper, I often find that there are certain factors in their life that's creating a lot of stress and unhappiness. Now, it could be a chicken or egg situation, but what I've come to learn is that people who are less happy are generally less likely to adopt healthier behaviors. And I'm going to go on a tangent here and say that it is then my job to really listen and to work out a plan that's achievable and appropriate for those patients. And often getting them better is the most rewarding. So the lesson here for me is to always prioritize my mental health, because without it, it's really hard for me to do things that's good for me in the long term. Lesson number 3 is that if patients believe they'll get better, they are much more likely to get better than those who don't. In fact, studies show that in the physio context, patient expectation is one of the biggest determinant of whether they're going to get better. And vice versa, in patients who don't believe they'll get better, they are actually less likely to get better, even for the same condition. So the lesson here is that when you're doing anything, simply having self-belief will increase your chance of success. And I think that's because people who have higher self-belief are also more optimistic. They'll see failures and setbacks as necessary checkpoints along their journey, and they're much more likely to keep going. All of which increases your chance of success or achieving your goal. So that's it, folks. Here are the 3 life lessons I learned from seeing hundreds and hundreds of beautiful people over the last 2.5 years, through connecting with them when they're in pain and by taking them through the patient journey. I hope you found this interesting or valuable. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.